Welcome friends once again into this channel Aspire to Attain. Sir Thomas Yat, the name which resonates in everyone's heart, especially those lovers who tries to write for their beloved, they must have come to know the name Sir Thomas Yat. Thomas Yat was given the credit of introducing the sonnet form into English literature from Italy, and he was much more influenced by Italian sonneteer Petrarch. Today we are going to discuss the famous poem of Sir Thomas Yat, and the name of the poem is Renouncing of Love. Surely this video is going to be a quite crucial one. So those who are new into this channel, please subscribe and share, and don't forget to click on the bell icon to get much more notification from this channel. So without wasting much more time, let's begin today's lesson, Renouncing Love. But before going into the poem, one thing we must have to remember that here Sir Thomas Yat is actually trying to come out from the aura of love and tries to give much more better expression of his beloved by seeking some of the ideal work, some of the ideal expression. And here we will also try to find out what Sir Thomas Yat clearly utters, clearly tries to say to all of us. So now let's begin the poem. Farewell, love, and all thy laws forever. Thy baited hooks shall tangle me no more. So at the very beginning, we come to know that farewell, and the poetic persona, the sonneteer, is clearly asserting that he is trying to say, he's trying to bid goodbye his love. So here, love is personified here. Here, love is an idea from which he wants to come out. We all know that a love formula, love has many kind of formula, and most of the lover uses those formula to influence others. Similarly, in the recent time, we most often see that our etiquette, our conversation style, our speaking power, etc., we most often use to influence others or the opposite sex. And these are the laws of love, and even the concept of love guru are there due to the Bollywood cinema, and these type of concepts are prevalent in our society. So we can say that love has many kind of laws, many kind of formulas of itself, and here the poet is clearly saying that farewell, love. So the poet is bidding farewell to whom? To love. So therefore the speaker is addressing love and says that all thy laws forever. So the poet is not just only uh, bidding goodbye to love, but also all the formulas, all the principles that love has in his cistern. Sonneteer is saying farewell to all those laws. Thy baited hook shall tangle me no more. Here, just look into the metaphor, baited hook. So, bait and hooks. Usually, it is used in fishing. So, whenever an angler or a fisherman goes to fish, he uses some bait and hook to catch some fishes. So, it works as a kind of elusive expression. It ensnares a fish to get entangled into the net, into the fishing net, into the fishing wheel. Here the poet is clearly saying that thy baited hook shall tangle me no more. So the love can never ever be able to get captured the sonneteer in any way, because the sonneteer has known everything, every principles, every pros and cons of the love, and so therefore he does not want to be ensnared by the hooks, by the bait of the love. Seneca and Plato call me from thy Lord to perfect wealth, my wait for to endeavor. The poet is not willing to go into the net of the love, rather the poet reverts back to whom? to Seneca and Plato, because in the then time Seneca and Plato were the famous politician, famous philosopher, and they taught people some of the ways how to gain wealth, how to be a politician, how to gain love, and how to get much more wit. So therefore the poet seeks the help of Seneca and Plato so that he can gain much more perfection in gaining wealth, in gaining wit to endeavor, so that the poet can again try to express his love in a more elaborate way, in a more dazzling way. In a blind error, when I did perceive her, thy sharp ripples that pricketh I so sore. The poet is saying that in a blind error means the poet does not have then any option to know about various aspects of love. So being the only one option, the poet went into the net of the love, and then he got many ideas, many prick, many kind of pain from the love. And so therefore the poet is not now willing to gain such type of prick, such type of sharp ripples now. So the poet is saying that in a blind error, when I did perceive her, being totally influenced by love, I went through love, I went behind love, but thy sharp ripples that pricketh I so more. But believe me, your sharp ripples, your fickleness, your feebleness, your emotion, your sudden turn, etc. pricketh pricketh me, pricketh the sonneteer so much that the sonneteer felt in himself a certain kind of pain. So therefore, the poet pursued love, he got pain, he got prick, and this type of prick, this type of fickleness, this type of feebleness totally broken his heart, hath taught me to set in trifle no more. So now the poet has come to know that such type of ripple, such type of pricketh are really terrific to the poet's life, and this type of prick, this type of ripples and fickleness has taught the poet to set in trifles no store, that the poet is not at all now willing to set in trifle, set in trivial activities, that is to pursue love forever. So the poet is not at all willing to pursue love, rather he is saying farewell to his love. And escape forth since thy liberty, since and escape forth since liberty is lever, and escape forth. The poet is now willing to come out from the grasp of the love, since liberty is lever, as liberty is given to everyone. So as a free human being, as a independent human being, the poet cannot do anything whatever he wishes to, and therefore he is not at all willing to pursue his love, to pursue the concept of love anymore. Therefore, farewell, go trouble younger hearts. So, therefore, the poet says, love, farewell. The poet bids farewell to love, go trouble younger hearts, and advises love to go to another younger heart who don't have much more knowledge about the principles of love, about the concept of love. Those hearts who are new in the profession of love making, and to those who don't felt ever any kind of pain, any kind of fickleness, any kind of prick. So there the love can again play its own role, and may influence the younger heart. Therefore, the poet is clearly asserting or clearly suggesting love that he should never come to the poet, rather he may go to the younger heart. and enemy claim no more authority. And the poet advises love that in the poet there is no influence of love. The love has no kind of authority on the poet, rather, the love can go to any other place instead of the poet. With idle youth go use the property, and those youth who are idle, who are actually trying to get ensnared into love, who are trying to capture their beloved, the love can go there, and the love can have all its property to influence those idle youth. So those youth who don't have much more knowledge about love, then their love can go and use its all kind of property to influence those youth, to influence those youthful heart. And there one spent the many brittle darts, and there the love can use its all kind of tricks, all kind of brittle darts. Here brittle darts means flexible darts. So here love can attempt to capture the heart of the young people. So therefore, if love does not do so, he can use quite a lenient way to influence the beloved. So here the brittle dart means that the flexible way. So love is not actually rigid. Love can influence any others with its flexible way. For hitherto, though I have lost my time, me lasteth no longer rotten boughs to climb. Now the poet is asserting that hitherto, that's why, though I have lost all my time, the poet has lost all his time in pursuing his love. So the time the poet has spent is a lot, and now he is feeling a certain kind of sigh. He is expressing his sigh that he has lost all his time, he has lost all his vigor in pursuing his love. But the pain, the prickleness, the prick that he got from the love are really terrific, are really terrible to him. So therefore, the poet is not at all willing to go, willing to proceed anymore into the path of love. And so therefore, the poet says that he has lost all his time. He has spent much more year, much more days of his life. Me lasteth no longer rotten boughs to climb. And the poet is not lasteth. Lasteth actually listeth. List, L-I-S-T, that means that the poet is not at all enlisting himself to climb the rotten boughs. So rotten boughs is the indication of the boughs which are trodden, which have got broken. So here the poet says that as the poet has tasted the taste of love, as the poet has experienced the taste of love, so therefore he is not at all willing to taste anymore the taste of love. So therefore the poet is not at all willing to go into the trodden path that has gone towards love. So this is the summary of this sonnet. If you get any kind of help from this sonnet, please don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Thank you once again for watching this video.